Hello and welcome. Today I would like to engage a little into the discussion of racism, and more specifically, how should black parents talk to their kids about it? Now, this is an excellent question, and we can explore some thoughts and tips to assist you in this journey. However, I believe before we can start conversing with others about it, let's see what kind of understanding we ourselves have on the subject matter. Well, according to dictionary definition, racism is a way of functioning within a belief that different races possess distinct physical characteristics and or qualities which would distinguish them as either inferior or superior to one another. In general, the system of racism in America has predominantly dictated the white race of people as the superior race and all other races, especially the black race of people, as the inferior. Now, the inferior race doesn't distinguish themselves as inferior, but they are distinguished by the race who is self-entitled as superior, and typically that race has the power and the authority to enforce their beliefs of superiority. Now, under racism, the superior race becomes an oppressor of these beliefs. The inferior race becomes oppressed by these beliefs because the agents of racism, well, they support their beliefs with agendas and policies that help them take unfair advantage over and against other races of people. And it also allows them to preside over behaviors of harmful treatment to those people who they classify as unworthy of a certain level of respect because of the difference of their skin color. That is a lot of dictionary and man-made definition put all together. But you got to home it in for yourself and decide what racism is to you specifically. And once you get that baseline understanding of what racism is to you, then it'll be easier to consider the audience that you would like to share your understanding with. It'll help you formulate a direction on what information you would like to begin to share and the different methods of delivery that you could utilize. Now, don't get overwhelmed trying to do it all yourself because some of us aren't built for that approach. But some resources that immediately come to mind that you could utilize are books, movies, documentary, trivia games, definitely some social media platforms like YouTube. I'm sure they got thousands of cartoons and things like that that can help you on your way. Now, no matter when the conversation begins, childhood, tween, or teenage years, no is not going to be a one and done event. This is going to be an ongoing conversation. It should get more detailed as your child grows with an increased capacity to understand and comprehend. I would that you get an early start on it before someone else starts to inject their own beliefs to them. Maybe when your children displays the ability to possibly see and question differences in people, then they are probably old enough to receive age-appropriate dosages of information to assist them in growing with understanding those differences. Remember that you are speaking with a child moving from what we call innocence to information, and without the right presentation for that child at their level of learning, you may bring about confusion more than understanding and clarity. But don't let that deter you, because without the preparation and at least an introduction to this racism topic, you'll put your child in a position to be ignorant and unaware to the things in this world around them, and it would leave them unguarded and unable to protect themselves when the system of racism or its actions or its agents come directly against them. So it is a lot to go up against. So I would say to you, you may want to begin gradually but firmly. establishing a positive and accurate view of your child's individual race, a racial self-identity or self-esteem, without lessening or tearing down the identity of other races, but continuously teaching until it's established. Things like teaching things like I'm black and I'm beautiful. I'm wonderfully made. I'm not a mistake or an error. Nothing inferior about me. These kind of things also help them become aware of who they are, where they come from, their ancestry line, and their rich heritage and culture. Also expose them to others that resemble their same complexion. Also teaching their accomplishments, fortifying a positive self-image. See, this too will also help grow an impenetrable internal structure of self-worth, because that's the main structure that racism targets and works to destroy in black people, their self-esteem. Move at your own pace and comfort level. Not too slow, but understand it may be hard for you to communicate some of this without being overly passionate or too stirred yourself, because you may have been directly impacted or severely affected by racism yourself. And as conversation progresses, it can get a little uglier. You can end up describing actions of hate and brutality, that things that you can't sugarcoat, historical truths, and in a lot of cases, emotional content that becomes strongly biased, which means you have to bridle your emotions and self-regulate whatever you're saying. Apply balance to your conversation and to your teaching so that your teaching produces awareness and knowledge as opposed to fear or hatred in response to the lessons that you're trying to teach. As they grow, always be prepared for discussion, because they will ask you questions about their encounters or the incidents that may occur to them, which gives you spontaneous ways to reflect and relate previous lessons taught, or opportunities to teach that in the moment situation, teaching them how to go and face it themselves, maybe through like a created role play. Once you feel that your kids are really firmly established in who they are, then begin to venture a little below the surface level into more controversial lessons like slavery and Jim Crow, um, protests, and fights for equality and the consequences that came along with them. But it is your kids. So you alone will have to determine the timeline to when and how much you want to open their understanding to. Now, it might take a while, but they will eventually grasp the concept of what you're trying to teach them through the lessons taught and through examples given and even incidents that they will experience. Soon they'll be able to begin researching for themselves. Still, you want to be able to give clarification. So you want to always be available and on hand to give clarification for the questions that they will ask. Always reinforce change. Always let your children know that even though we've been at this racial divide for such a long time, and sometimes you can't always see the change that you want to see, it only takes one to change and one to bring about change. When teaching change, teach them about the ones who didn't accept the power or influence of racism over their lives, and those successes who didn't let it break or destroy their self-worth. Those who helped us as a black race to get to the place where we are now. And even though it's not where we want to be, it's way further than where we once were. Continue to instill in them that they are descendants of and still are little kings and queens on this earth. And constantly assure them that they themselves can be one of the ones that can help push us even further from where we are now to where we can one day be. And finally, last tip, let them clearly understand that everyone that has white skin does not fit into these categories of racism. They all don't feel that they're superior. Because while there are so many that do, there are so many more that don't. And even though we feel that we are on the forefront, the front line of this fight of racism, there are so many others that fight along with us, and they truly believe in the diversity of the human race without making one subject to another. That's all I have to say. I hope what I had to say was enough to help trigger thoughts and ignite ideas to help you on your journey to talk to your children. This was not meant to be a commentary, but just conversation. Thank you for listening.